You are waiting to feel like doing the work. That is your mistake. You think motivation leads to action. But psychology proves the opposite. Action leads to motivation. Stoics knew this 2,000 years ago. They didn't wake up excited to run an empire. They woke up and did their duty regardless of their feelings. Today, I will teach you the Stoic art of discipline, how to trick your brain into doing hard things, even when you are tired, bored, or lazy. The myth: motivation is a trap. Why waiting for inspiration means waiting forever. The biological truth about dopamine. Motivation waxes and wanes, and waiting for a spark often becomes waiting forever. The brain doesn't hand you a personal jumpstarter labeled inspiration when you need it. Dopamine isn't just about pleasure. It's a signal that nudges you toward goals by predicting rewards. It responds to cues, to progress, to the anticipation of payoff, not to mood alone. The myth that you must feel fired up to begin is precisely what keeps projects stuck. In practice, action can precede motivation, and momentum grows from small, repeatable steps. Enter the cold start. Start with something tiny, something almost invisible, like opening the document and typing a line. Do it for a few minutes, then decide whether to continue. The move isn't dramatic, but the brain notices progress and dopamine flickers back to life. A writer who writes one sentence often finds a flow state and continues. The resistance forgets to shout when the work is already moving. This is the biological truth. You don't need to feel like it to start. You need to start to feel like it. Once you grasp this, you stop checking your feelings and start checking your schedule. Concept 1. The action loop. You don't need to feel good to start. You need to start to feel good. Most people believe the loop goes inspiration dash a motivation dash or action. This is wrong. The real loop is action dash inspiration dash a motivation. When you act, you get feedback. You see a result. That result triggers a small dopamine release, which fuels the next action. This is the action loop. Stoic discipline is built on this reverse engineering. Marcus Aurelius didn't journal because he felt poetic. He journaled to clear his mind so he could act. Seneca didn't write letters because he was bored. He wrote to sharpen his reasoning. They treated the work as a requirement, not a hobby. If you wait until you feel good, you hand the keys of your life to your most volatile biological chemicals. If you act first, you force your biology to catch up with your intention. Use the 5-minute rule. Commit to doing the task for just 5 minutes. After 5 minutes, you have permission to quit. Spoiler, you almost never quit, because the hardest part, the cold start, is over. The action loop proves that discipline is a motor you crank by hand, not a wind you wait for. Concept 2. The resistance. Your brain is designed to save energy. Laziness is a survival mechanism. Stephen Pressfield calls it the resistance, that invisible force field pushing you away from the work. Biologically, this is your brain trying to save energy. Your ancestors didn't burn calories for fun, they saved them for survival. Laziness is an ancient survival mechanism that misfires in the modern world. When you sit down to work, your brain screams, "This is hard. This burns glucose. Stop." The Stoic response isn't to argue with the feeling but to acknowledge it as a primitive signal. I hear you, brain. We are doing it anyway. You treat the resistance like an annoying passenger in the car. You don't let it drive, and you don't stop the car to fight it. You just keep driving. Recognize that the resistance is strongest right before you start. It peaks at the threshold. Once you cross the threshold, the resistance drops. Knowing this makes the friction bearable. You know it's just a biological gatekeeper, not a sign that you shouldn't do the work. Push past the gatekeeper, and the room inside is often quiet and ready for focus. Concept 3. Voluntary discomfort. Train your brain to like the pain. Stoics practiced voluntary discomfort, sleeping on the floor, fasting, wearing rough clothes. Why? To toughen the mind. If you only work when you are comfortable, you are fragile. If you train yourself to handle small amounts of pain, you become anti-fragile. You can train your brain to tolerate the pain of focus, the pain of boredom, the pain of effort. Start small. Take a cold shower, skip a meal, leave your phone in the other room for an hour. These microstresses teach your nervous system that discomfort is not death. When you sit down to do deep work, the discomfort of focusing feels familiar, manageable, even useful. You stop running from the struggle and start leaning into it. This is how you build a callus on your will. Discipline is a muscle. If you don't tear it, it doesn't grow. Voluntary discomfort is the gym for your willpower. Use it to prove to yourself that you are the master of your comfort zone, not its prisoner. Concept 4. Amor fati. Love the boring parts. Amor fati means love fate. It means loving everything that happens, including the boredom, the slog, and the grind. Amateurs fall in love with the result. Professionals fall in love with the process. The Stoic loves the work itself, not just the trophy at the end. When the work gets boring, don't wish it was exciting. Love the boredom. Boredom is the filter that weeds out the competition. If it were fun, everyone would do it. The fact that it is hard and boring is your advantage. Embrace the monotony as a meditative practice. This spreadsheet is boring. Good. I will master this spreadsheet. This workout is painful. Good. I am building strength. Shift your perspective from I have to do this to I get to practice discipline. This subtle shift turns the grind into a game. You aren't suffering, you are training. And in that training, you find a quiet satisfaction that the dopamine chasers never experience. Concept 5. Memento Mori. You don't have time to be lazy. Memento Mori means remember you will die. It is not morbid, it is urgent. You act like you have infinite time. You don't. Seneca said, "It is not that we have a short time to live, but that we waste a lot of it." Every hour you spend procrastinating is an hour you never get back. Stoics use death as a tool to sharpen their focus. If this was your last week, would you spend it scrolling on your phone? Would you spend it dreading a simple task? No. You would do what matters. Use Memento Mori to cut through the noise. When you feel lazy, remind yourself, my time is running out. This creates a healthy sense of urgency. It strips away the trivial and highlights the essential. You don't need more time, you need more intensity. Discipline is simply respect for the limited time you have. Stop living as if you have 1,000 years. Do the work now, because later is not guaranteed. The discipline you want isn't a mystery. It's the psychology of doing hard things, especially when you'd rather not. Feelings are signals, not commands. They tell you what your nervous system is doing, not what you must do. The cold start is the tiniest possible action that gets you moving. The first breath, the first line, the first push. Momentum is what follows when you keep going. One small step compounds into real work. The resistance will push back, laugh in its face by choosing action anyway. Direct summary: take control of the start, let momentum build, treat feelings as signals not orders, and push through the resistance with consistent small actions. With that, you can shift a task from avoidance to action. I know you've been staring at that task, wondering if you'll ever start. You're not alone in that moment. The choice to act is what resets the clock. Stand up now. Identify the one task you've been avoiding. Set a 2-minute timer and begin with the smallest step, the cold start. Keep going until 2 minutes pass, then decide the next 2 minutes. Momentum will do the rest. In the next videos, we'll turn this into a practical routine. How to schedule the hard things, how to track momentum, and how to recover when motivation ebbs, with real-world examples and experiments. You've got this. The first move is the one that proves you're in, not out. Let's see what you do in the next 2 minutes.